Okay, it is.
Wait, need time to take off my life vest before you start recording.
It's already recording. Sorry,
Like-
you're in there for posterity. It's okay. It's August the 20th, 2021, and we are on our competition night. I want to welcome everybody. We've got some new folks. Steve has been here before, but he's now a new member. So welcome, Steve.
Hey.
Hey, Steve.
And, Christine is visiting us. She's a friend of Diana's, and so I'm glad to see we don't see her, but we're glad she's here. And what else? Just so everybody knows, Doris is leaving us.
Boo.
She's going to back home to Ohio to her family, so that's a good thing. But we're going to miss her anyway.
There is this thing called Zoom.
Yeah, this thing called Zoom, Doris, so you can still
Yes.
zoom in on us.
I will remember that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Just some quick news here. The board met last week, and we are working on a couple of outings, which we will get organized and announce as soon as we've got some more details on it. We also have decided on a date for our Christmas and end of year party, so you can put it on your calendar. It's going to be December the 12th, which is a Sunday. Basically, if you were with us last year, we did we used to have it at Robert's studio, and since COVID, we really couldn't do that. So we did it at an outside pavilion at Felipe Park in Safety Harbor, and we had a great time. And it's a big, huge pavilion. The Win has already booked it for us, so we have it for the 12th of December. Basically, what we do is we start gathering. And they decorated the whole thing. They did a great job, the ladies and the guys. And we pretty much did everything we normally do on our regular at our parties that we had at the studio. So just put that on your calendar, and we'll have more details about that going forward. And also at the same time, we have been looking at some different ways to raise money to help pay for our speakers. And we unfortunately we got a donation from an old member who's now a new member. He came back after he left the club in 2018 when he moved away, and I convinced him that even though he lives in Texas, he can zoom in, because we got somebody from Wisconsin zooming in, and maybe Ohio soon. So anyway, Ellen Wanskowski donated a bunch of equipment to us, and so what we're going to do is we're going to have a silent auction, and we would like to augment that donation with anything else that we can get, and we will be thinking about what you might want to put into the auction, and we'll have more, we'll talk about this more as we get closer to December. Okay, the assignments for this for the next couple of months, the rest of the year basically. This month obviously was a double exposure or multiple exposure. September is rainy day. October is capture motion, and November is auto, trucks, or motorcycle. So some artistic, all of these need to be creative and artistic images. That being said, our technical night this month, which is next Friday, will be capturing motion. So we'll have a little lesson on that prior to shooting for the October assignment. September, we'll have Colleen Midiak, who spoke for us last year. She speaks out of Chicago. She does their workshops. She has her own workshops. I went on to one of her workshops in May in Oregon. She's just a crazy woman. She is awesome. She's a great photographer, and she's a great educator. And she's going to be talking to us about creating depth in your landscape photography. So it's something that, it's hard to do. You see a lot of landscapes that look very flat. Hers don't look flat. So she's going to show us how to do that. And then in October, we're going to have Jerry Jones, who does glass refraction. And let me share my screen real quick so I can show you kind of what this looks like. Here.
Oh, that looks like a dolly.
Here we go. This is glass refraction.
Oh, wow.
And this is something you can actually, she does it in her living room with her TV. So So she's going to be talking about how she does this and how you can do it. And it's something that, you can do if you're not able to go out and run around outside, or, when it's, 90,000 degrees outside, like it is right now, or if it's raining every day. These are something you can do. And, and so she's going to be talking about that in October.
That's really cool.
All right. So is there any questions or comments from anybody?
I have a question.
Sure.
For next month's assignment, rainy day, is that literally daytime or nighttime? Okay.
There's 24 hours in a day, Jim.
Yep.
Okay. That's why you have the position you have. You know all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just right at your fingertips.
Yeah, he literally has everything at his fingertips right there now.
Also, some time ago, somebody sent an email about is a slowy day is also coming as a raining day.
Say that again?
I think it's some time ago, somebody sent an email to ask if the
Oh, it's
winter
snowy
time.
day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Jim, I think Robert kind of said that would be all right. Are you okay with a snowy day?
That's not not what we were thinking of when we set up the assignment.
Okay. All right. So let's
lights,
get
the
to rainy
water.
day.
Yes, I totally understand from a science standpoint that snow is frozen rain, but
Nothing gets by this guy, I'll tell you.
Whoa.
but it is really outside of the scope of what we were intending.
Yeah,
in
so
the
it's got to be rain. Okay.
competition, yeah.
Any other questions?
No, but I want to put a plug into that video that from April, Lynn, on the double exposure. I went back and looked at it and it was so helpful. And I'm glad that you're doing the motion technical night in advance of the assignment. Because I would love to see that happen more often because it really helps, especially if it's something you're not familiar with doing.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful. Thank you.
We try to do it when it's possible. It's not always possible. And this year's got to be pretty technique heavy. Don't count on that next year. So, because we have
I can't be here in person next week to give that to give my part of the motion presentation, but I have recorded a presentation for you. In fact, I'm about 75% done with the cutting, splicing, and editing process on that presentation right now.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, let's go ahead and I guess we'll get started with the competition. And our third judge tonight is Mr. Lee Brand. Are you ready, Lee? Go ahead, Lee, send me a private message on the chat with a test.
Jack, check your private message window.
I'm replying now.
Okay.
All right, let me arrange my screens here so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Okay, can you see my screen? Nope. Help if I hit the share button. You see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's get Lightroom open. All right, we have our first one is a makeup from last month, which was assignment was a reflections. So I know you weren't the judge last month, Lee, but you can go ahead and send me I don't know what happened to my Zoom. Hold on a second. Oh, God, it's driving me crazy.
Is that the bean in Chicago?
I don't know, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dave, so it probably is.
That's what it looks
Hold on a second, guys. I'm having an issue here. I've lost my Zoom thing. thing is driving me crazy. Okay. Well, maybe I should do this first. Share the screen and then do that. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get it. Here we go. I've lost my screen. Why it's doing this? I've been having issues with my 2 monitors lately. Oh well. I just can't see the score message.
Can you send it by private text on your phone?
Yeah, well, that takes too long.
Oh.
What is doing this? No, it's probably over here.
Here you go.
Do you not have 2 independent windows for Zoom, Lynn?
No,
Oh, okay.
why it's doing it now? It's switching back and forth. I've been having problems using with the two monitors lately. I don't know why I'm having this issue.
You're having an issue with separating your 2
Yeah,
Zoom
Yeah,
screens.
I mean, it's been going on ever since the latest update to the iOS. So let me do this. Let me get that out of here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do.
Get that off the screen, you find it.
That helps. Bring up Zoom. All right. All right, now we're good. That's what I needed. Okay. Get the scoring done here. All right, Lee, go ahead and send me, now I can see the chat. You can send me the score.
You need to make it full screen so I can't even see it.
Yeah, can you make it bigger?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely the bean.
Mhm.
Okay, the score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Dave. Now we're having issues over here. Okay. You'd think I'd never done this before. I'm still here. I have. Okay. Okay, the first one is lunar eclipse montage.
We're not seeing the whole image. We're only seeing.
Yeah, hold on a second. I got it at that. It went up to 100%. That'll do it. I lost my chat thing again. This is ridiculous. God.
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Not had this problem before, guys. I don't know what's going on. Lee, text them to me, please.
You get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Good.
Okay, the score is 22. That's an award for Steve Zimick. Next one is Happy Greek Men.
On my screen, at least, when the image is cropped considerably.
It looks fine on mine.
That's the
100% of the
right
image on
there.
my screen.
Huh?
I
That's
said
the
I have 100% of the image on my screen.
Yeah, this is, yeah, it's
I have
showing me the
100%
full image. Score is 23. It's an award for Lee Win. Next one is Lighthouse at the Shore. Score is 23. It's an award for me. Next one is Pine Tree on ACU Unit. Score is 23. That's an award for Jim Hagan. Next one is Flower Girl. Lee. Did you go to sleep? Okay. Score is 24. That's an award for Jim Hagan. Next one is Wildflowers. No, he lost his connection. Hold on a second, guys. Lee, you there? Still showing. His name is still showing up there, so I'm wondering what's going on here. Huh. Okay, we're back. Score is 23. That's an award for Lee Win. Next one is Flower Cat. Oops, sorry. Score is 23. That's an award for Diana. Next one is Echoing Flowers. Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Diana. Next one is Water Lily. Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Lee. This one is called Pond at McKee Gardens. Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Lee. Next one is Look Around on the Sea. Score is 23. That's an award for Fong. Next one is a Double Happy. Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Fong. Next one is Arg, Arg. Score is 23. That's an award for myself. Next one is Pink Orchid Fantasy. Score is 22. That's an award for Steve Zemek. Next one is Condos on the Water. Oops, sorry about that. Hit the wrong key. Score is 23. That's an award for Brian. Next one is, whoops, the next one is Double Skyline. Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Brian. Next one is Starry Lights. Score is 23. That's an award for Jack. Next one is Courtney Campbell, Virtual Causeway. Score is 23. That's an award for Jim McWilliam. And the last one is Gotcha. Score is 23. That's an award for Jim McWilliam. Okay, that is all of our assigned. Switch over to general. And the first one is baboon. Score is 24. That's an award for Steve Zemek. Next one is Warner Boyce Salt Springs. This infrared, if anybody is not aware of that. Score is 23. That's an award for Sherry Halstead. Next one is Before the Bloom. Oops, why do I do that every time? Score is 22. That's an honorable mention for Karen. Next one is Upsad Ghetto Man. Score is 23. That's an award for Fong. Next one is Picture This. Score is 23. That's an award for Diana. Next one is Dragonfly. Score is 24. That's an award for Sherry. Next one is Amazing Lightning. Score is 23. That's an award for Lee Win. Next one is Peters Brook Waterfall. Score is 23. That's an award for Lee. Next one is Pond Life. Score is 22. That's an award for Jim Hagan. Next one is Deserted. Score is 23. That's an award for Jack. Next one is After the Rain. Score is 24. That's an award for myself. Next one is Golf Course Sunrise. Score is 22. It's an honorable mention for Brian. Next one is Eyes on You. Score is 23. That's an award for Karen. Next one is Diptych of One That Got Away. Score is 23. It's an award for Jack. Next one is Arcs of Light. Score is 22. It's an honorable mention for Jim McWilliam. Next one is Osprey Feeding Time. Score is 23. It's an award for Caesar. This one is Mustang Corsair Formation. Score is 23. That's an award for Caesar. And that's it, guys. Let's take a quick break before we start the critiques. Let's come back at 7:46-ish.
What's a diptych?
Two images next to each other. and then there's the triptych, which is 3.
And it's slightly more than that.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Images in a diptych or a triptych should relate to each other in some form or fashion.
Okay.
That there should be some kind of connection between the images in a diptych or a triptych, not just random images, two in one scene.
Well, that's why Jack's was like the bird, the fish
Yes.
in the mouth. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I've got a question, Jim, while you're looking at this. My biggest problem when I take shots like that are multiple subjects that are not on the same plane, no pun intended, is how to get both of them focused. And my issue comes up with birds and stuff like that.
Well, it's controlling your depth of field.
I did. I went up to a 16. I went up to an 18. I went up to a 22, and stupid birds wouldn't cooperate.
Like I say, there are things depending on the lens, just going all the way to the maximum aperture number still does not guarantee that you have the depth of field that you need. That means you have to step back to a wider focal length lens, a shorter focal length lens with a wider field of view. But then you're sacrificing, what you have in the frame. You're getting more in the frame. You'll have to crop into it to get the same image back, but you'll have the depth of field. So then that's where you want a camera with a high pixel density in the sensor, so that you can shoot with a wider lens to increase your depth of field and then crop back into it to get the image that you originally wanted, as opposed to shooting it with a long lens that won't give you the depth of field you need in the first place.
So if I have like birds they were not that far apart, but I was shooting with a 100 to 500.
Yeah, that's fine.
I tried at 8, I tried at 11, I tried at 16.
Yeah, you have to step back to a shorter focal length. You get more in your field of view, and you can get greater depth of field. Then you're going to have to crop back into it, and then you want to make sure that you have the image quality, that you have the pixel count that you need to be able to crop back into it.
Diana, did you see that email I sent to everybody
I
a
have
couple days ago from
2
Steve?
words for you, Diana. Medium format.
Say that again?
Medium format.
Yeah. You're around. You're right. Yeah, the book that that Steve Perry just put out, the ebook, is called How to Make Studying Birds in Flight or something like that.
Right.
I've only read about 70 pages of it. It's really good.
Okay, good.
You really should. I think it's $21.
Okay.
500-page ebook. 500
Okay.
plus page,
Cool.
and he's really good on that kind of stuff. So I would highly recommend it to anybody that's wanting to try to get birds in flight. He talks about just this actual subject here.
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. I saw the email, but I didn't investigate it. Thanks.
Except for the airplanes are at infinity, so it won't make any difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
The planes are far enough distance away for that to work.
Yeah.
The birds are not.
Yeah.
Wait, explain that, please. What were the settings on that?
The airplanes are much farther away than your birds are. That's why they're able to be, captured in the same plane of depth of field. It's the distance, but the distance being focused on. Remember, it's not,
so I don't know what it
it's
is.
not just the size of your sensor and the focal length of your lens and the aperture. Those are only 3 of the elements in the formula for depth of field. The 4th element that is often overlooked is distance being focused to. So the farther away you are focusing, the more your depth of field increases as well. That's why when you focus up very close to the camera, you get very shallow depth of field. And the farther you can focus away from the camera, the greater your depth of field expands as one of the variables in that formula. And as Chris mentioned, those airplanes are so far away that piece of the math plays in your favor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could shoot at 2.8, Diana, and those would still be in focus.
Oh,
Right.
really?
Yeah. They're so far away. It doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yeah, if you ever look up there is an actual formula, mathematical formula for depth of field, and you can see there's many variables in it, not just aperture. And most people just consider aperture and focal length. but there's several other variables involved in the actual
Yeah.
calculation that equals your depth of field.
I'm gonna check that out when I go out. And I'm gonna try that next time I go out to, because I had some really cool compositions and it was so frustrating because it was like, you know, a couple of the birds were in focus, but the other ones weren't. I like that bean shot.
Is everybody back? Everybody
I'm
back?
not back.
Not back? I see you,
No, I'm
you
not
see
back.
all your voting clothes. Oh, my goodness. Put you guys up here where I can see you. I finally found my chat box. It was hiding. But the phone worked great. Once he was, got connected properly. Are we ready, Jim? Are you ready to do the critique?
Yep. Well, give me 1 second here.
Okay. And Lee, chime in, and anybody else chime in, please. I was.
Yeah. Hey, Lynn, are you going to help critique in the absence of Robert, even though he gave scores?
Yeah, I'll do it. I can't keep my mouth shut, so. And I've looked at these pictures so much late in the last 2 days that it's like.
Okay. All right. I'm here and ready.
All right.
Okay.
Ready to go? Here, go ahead.
All right. At first look, this has some strong visual impact. It's pretty interesting looking when you first look at it. When you get into it, the question I have for the artist is the three people behind you. Why did you compose this shot to basically chop off all three heads? I find that visually disturbing.
Yeah, that's Dave. Is Dave here? I don't think he is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All three heads behind the photographer of the people behind the photographer are amputated.
When I first got a glance of this thing, it looked like a dolly.
Yeah.
It has that dolly-ish theme to it. If it had a little more structure, but anyway, it was I found it very interesting, the subject.
Yeah, at first you think it's one of those ones where it's reflected on the other side, but then when you look at it, you realize it's not. All right, let's go to assign for this month.
Okay, I'll tell you what happened when this was the first image I looked at for assign, and the first thing that went through my mind was, oh my gosh, people didn't necessarily understand the difference between compositing and multiple exposure, and I thought, uh-oh, what if this happened to everybody? But then I looked, and the other 18 out of 19 entries really appeared to be multiple exposure, whereas this one appears to be pretty strictly to be a composite, and that was the issue I had with it. This in a multiple exposure, the overall exposures of the multiple exposures interact with each other through the image, as you saw when we looked at the other 18 out of 19 entries here. In this one, there's no real interaction between the two images. It's an element of one image has been composited into the other image. So as far as that part of the assignment went, it didn't quite stack up there. It's a very interesting image. The leading lines leading to the moon eclipse and everything. It's been put together well from a compositional standpoint. I felt like I say, that it just didn't quite meet the criteria of the competition.
This is Steve's first entry, so we excuse him for that one.
I didn't knock it too bad. I think I think Robert and I were probably I think about dead on with the scores
Yeah.
on that. I can see Lee really liked it a lot.
I stood there and questioned whether it was or it wasn't. So
Yeah.
you pretty much answered my question.
Yeah, I mean, you could put them together in software, but they obviously had to be the two.
Yeah,
two
that's,
images.
and like I say, so compositing is basically cutting and pasting elements from different images together versus multiple exposure. In multiple exposure, the concept and the idea artistically behind that technique is to have multiple images interact with each other. There's not interaction of two exposures in this image.
This is a cool image, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Cool.
But then you'll see what I mean in the next one. There's fantastic interaction between the two images here. In fact, the placement of the Greek dancer making the trio of people and in that triangular pyramid composition, that worked beautifully in this image. And you can see the interaction of the two exposures.
Hello?
Hello, Diana.
Sorry.
Okay. Anybody other have any comments? Anybody else?
I also like the like I say, the fact, the emotion,
Yeah.
the two are happy, and the person painted on the wall and the other exposure is also happy.
Yep.
Everything worked together well conceptually and technically in this one.
Looks like Lee Win was channeling Susan Anderson there.
I was thinking the same thing.
What I like about this one is the interaction of the things that go together: the ocean, the water, the rocks, the lighthouse. The two things I felt could be improved with this is looks like another lighthouse on the rocks on the jetty behind this lighthouse in the distance, and it kind of cuts through the edge of the lighthouse tower of this. Hello.
What happened? Oh, you're talking about this one over here.
I'm talking about that one there being right on the edge of the other one. Had it been placed a little more inside of the other one, the two images work together. And what I also, like I say, I like everything going on the left side of this image, the interaction of the lighthouse with the water, the jetty behind it and everything. I didn't feel it necessary. You could even pull a crop in and see the dune and the weeds and all the green stuff on the right doesn't seem to fit in with this beautiful image you have on the left 2/3 there.
Okay. So I
pulling
should
the crop from the pulling the crop from the right side for me.
Guys, I'm just like floundering around today for some reason. I don't know what's
You're great.
going on.
You're doing great.
I'm just floundering around all over the place here with like
A few more lessons in Lightroom, you'll have it.
I was like, okay. So you're saying I should have done this?
There. Yes. There.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All that the weeds and the dunes didn't conceptually play with the wonderful concept that's going on right there.
So I mean, I guess I would left it because of the water being over here by the lighthouse, but I guess I really don't need it because there's water in here.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
I really enjoyed the concept here. The totally man-made object with the perfect geometric pattern interplaying with the totally natural object with the completely random abstract pattern. The conceptually and technically, this one all worked well together. Well done, whoever did this one.
This particular photograph was completely done in camera. I almost did nothing to it.
Great
I
job,
just put
I put my camera on multiple exposure, took a picture of a pine tree and then my AC unit, and that's what it did.
Hey,
Good job.
serendipity.
Well done.
I like the way those two textures play together.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
really nice.
Yeah.
Jim Hagan was on a roll. This is your thing, Jim.
This one right here, I took a photo of my granddaughter, and then the other one was done completely in camera, and I did this one in Photoshop. But you know, just put the flowers on her and blended them together.
Yeah, this is a nice concept. Worked well too. The what I would say with this, if you reprocess it, I would not make the face so opaque that you don't see a little bit of the interaction of the other exposure with it. It, you know, it does take your eye right to the face, but it also takes you away from the multiple exposure concept of this with having the face so prominently, you know, opaque there. I would allow a little bit more of that back image to bleed through the central part of the face there in this one. And
Well, I thought it looked, honestly, I thought it looked a little weird having the flowers on her face, but you know, I did take the flowers out of her face. I did that.
yeah, it does tend to make, in this instance, you know, like it looks almost like the face is pasted into everything else going on.
I blend, yeah,
But still, it's a great concept. Well done. It's a very nice image.
Thanks.
Okay, this was technique. Well done. The image is great. The problem I had compositionally with this is that all the center of interest and the flow in this starts halfway up the image and then travels out the upper left. And there's a from 50% from the midline down and all the way over. Like you don't, yeah, just bring it up, Lynn. You don't even have to bring it in from the left. Just bring it up. Yeah, there you go. Because we have that great diagonal flow going out to that upper left corner, but all kinds of negative space unrelated to what's going on up there from the midpoint of the image down. All the action in this image started at the midpoint and then traveled up from there. This is much better crop.
Thank you.
This worked really well. I like the interaction of everything going on in here. I'll tell you one thing, Diana, you might want to do with this is in the eyes, the reflections in the eyes, it's unnatural for them to be reversed and mirror imaged. You need to take one of the eyes and flip it 180 degrees horizontally, because if you look in those eyes, they're mirror images, and the same thing is going to reflect the same way in both eyes, not opposite, as in each eye is not a mirror of the other eye. The same thing. Like,
Sorry, Jim, I was on the phone with a doctor, so can you, I caught just the beginning of it, sorry.
I was, overall, the image, it's a great multiple exposure. The eyes, I would fix this. The eyes should not be mirror image 180 degree opposite reflections of each other. The eyes, that flower that's in the eyes should be either on the left side of both eyes or on the right side of both eyes. That the eyes are opposite each other. That's unnatural. That's incorrect.
Okay.
Flip one of the eyes 180 degrees, horizontally, and you'll have proper reflections in the eyeballs.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to do that, but okay. Thanks.
This is nice with that echoing repetitive image. It does start in a good part of the frame and then works its way through out of the back. The central part of the image that first gets your attention is compositionally in a good place, and then the flow is good. the contrast and the colors are good. And this one was done nicely.
Only thing I think I might do is darken this up a little bit. Just so there's not so much at the back.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. I said I had fun with this.
Yeah. But anytime you guys get, in a rut, this is the kind of photography you need to do because then it's fun.
And
Yeah,
and,
there's no right or wrong.
and right before you step to the next one, Lynn,
Yeah.
I want to point out kind of a comparison between this one and the next one that's going to come up. In this one, there's repetitions of the image, but the repetitions produce a visual flow through the image. And now I want you to go ahead and now jump to the next one. The issue I had with this one is, yes, it's a multiple exposure. Next image. Yeah, it is a multiple exposure. However, in this case, the multiple images all being overlaid pretty much directly right on top of each other basically just kind of creates a distortion, and just it makes it kind of look, out of focus. So I found this one that the multiple exposures didn't have a good compositional flow. It just makes it look like a jittery, out of focus flower.
Okay, Lee?
That's why I wanted to compare the one before it, which is similar in technique, but very different in what's been done with the composition.
The one before it was a little confusing to me. Flowing back, it just looked cluttered in the background. That was just my opinion.
That's why I said I would have darkened it
Yeah.
a little bit. That makes it a little less cluttered looking. But Lee, yeah, this one I know you could have done better than this, but that's what. Okay, let's move on.
Lecture, Lee.
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get.
This one is very fascinating. This is compositionally, this is very engaging. It's very much an abstract, but a very nice, very nice pattern, very nice shape, compositionally in what's going on with this one. Whose image is this?
That's mine.
Okay, much better than the one before, Lee. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? If you kind of stand back and and even defocus your eyes a little bit, this looks like a giant mouth with big fat green lips and a bunch of sharp brown fangs inside the mouth.
Yeah, that was my thought too, and I was trying to come up with a better title, but
yeah, it looks like a big
giant
mouth with green lips and brown fangs. That's not a bad thing. It's actually kind of fascinating. This was kind of a cute, humorous concept with the repetition of the people appearing to interact with each other as a group like that. It was an interesting concept and not too badly put together.
Yeah, well, you did a good job of keeping them away from each other so that they're separated. So that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. This one, yeah, it's a double exposure. It's technically it's produced okay. It has it doesn't tell anywhere near as much of a story, or you don't get as much of a story out of it as with the prior image that we just saw, where they really appeared to turn into a group and interact with each other. This has just turned into, okay, two images of the boat, which doesn't.
Okay.
Beyond being two images of a boat, it's just not much beyond two images of a boat.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Would it have been a better composition if the smaller boat had been ahead and further away and the larger boat in the foreground? In other words, flip positions. Would it have made a better composition for the eyes?
I would agree with you on that, Jack.
Yeah.
And it's obvious it's the same boat.
Yeah.
They just, one was, she, zoomed in a little bit on the first one. The bottom one.
Right, right. But on the other hand, yeah, to me, it just, gives me, I look at it and it gives me a little bit of tension
Because Jack is, Jack is correct, because we know it's the same boat, but also your brain understands that, things diminish in the distance,
Right.
and they expand, with respect in the foreground. And this is exactly the opposite. The boat has grown larger in the distance and has shrunk, in the foreground. That's why I agree with Jack.
This is hand holding 70 to 200 length, a little bit heavy. So then later I figure out another way. So put a tripod, one boat coming, another, so background very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a matter of how much you zoomed in when the boat was. So if you zoomed less, on the second one, it's hard to tell which one was first, which one was second, but obviously it's like, it is the heavier, the bigger one is too far away.
This hand holding sometimes not good. So
Expanding on that commercial that the lawyers have, size matters and placement matters. Conceptually, I like the two images that are going on here. There's a slight interaction. Hey, can we get Fong's mic? Thank you. Yeah, conceptually, these two images go together well. There's not much of an interplay between them. You can see a little bit of one through the other, but for the most part, at a glance, it looks more like one is pasted on the other. There's not a lot of interaction or interplay between the two exposures here.
Yeah, I tried this one in camera, and it just no matter where I got with the pirate, there was too much trees and stuff around him, so I kind of cleaned it up, and that's kind of what I basically did was mask out the trees that were on the right hand side with the light room is. Yeah,
they're wonderful elements to put together. They just didn't intermingle a lot in the image, in the final image.
And I'm not familiar with this lighthouse. Where's this at?
This is at Ponce Inlet. Actually, this is the lighthouse. It's at the restaurant across the street from the actual lighthouse. And the pirate is in the parking lot.
Is that in Florida?
Where is it, Lynn?
Ponce Inlet, Daytona, just south of Daytona Beach. Yeah, there's a restaurant across the street that's I think it's called the Lighthouse Restaurant or something like that. And we were out there messing around and taking pictures of the lighthouse, and I saw the pirate, and I thought, you know what, it's time for a double exposure. And so I actually did one in camera, and I just could not get a position where the trees that are around the pirate weren't kind of obliterating the lighthouse. So I tried it because with the Nikon, you not only get the two images, and then you get the combined image. And so no matter what I did, I couldn't. So I went ahead and tried to just combine it in Photoshop, and I kind of went crazy and overdid it with the masking.
This one's nice. It's got a nice shape within the composition. The triangular shape going on. All the leading lines of the blur, taking you from the outer edge of the frame into where the sharp flowers are. One of the few things I'd suggest on this would be down in the lower right, that kind of light colored blob right over right down there, Lynn. That's it. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Doesn't even have to go in that far. Just that was probably a little too much. Just past that kind of tan colored thing that's down in the corner. Yeah, there we go. Nice.
So I've got a question.
That light colored piece in the corner, kept taking my eye down there to the corner, and it needs to be like it is now.
I have a question, Jim, on this shot. If I had done the shot, which I think is a beautiful shot, that leaf that's coming over the top of that flower that's really light, yep, that one. I would have sat personally, just, you know, and I'm not saying I'm right. I would have darkened that because I don't know, because I want to focus on the flowers, and the flower with the drops on it. And
Yeah,
this is the stuff that drives me
pretty
crazy
easy.
when I edit.
Yeah, and that would be relatively easy to burn down in post processing.
But should it be burned down? I guess is my question.
Oh yeah, and you wouldn't even have to do it. You know, Lynn's doing it a quick and easy way in Lightroom, but you could actually use the burn brush in Photoshop, set it to highlights or midtones to about 30 or 40% opacity, and just brush right over that arcing area without having to pull it all the way in from the corner like Lynn's trying to do in Lightroom.
I mean, it definitely makes a big difference in terms of pulling your eye to those flowers.
Right. It almost acts like a vignette.
Yeah.
If you darken it. It's a beautiful shot.
Yeah. No, that's a good point, Diana. Thank you for mentioning that.
I obsess over these things. I drive my
But
friend.
but what's good is you're noticing it, and so that's good.
Well, that's thanks to you guys. That and halos.
All right, Lynn.
Yeah.
Tool. And Brian, I think this was yours. I like the concept, the title, condos on the water, and then you've got those condos with the water showing through them, and in the double exposure, the condos are on the water. I love how that all works out. Lynn, just take that thing over about 30% in from the left side. All that stuff. I'm sorry, right side, my mistake, right side. Yep. Keep going, stop. Now it's condos on the water. We don't need all that other junk over on the right side. That has, you can go back just a little bit. It came in a little bit too tight on that, Lynn, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and that makes it,
bingo.
When you crop down, like it makes the water more obvious on the buildings as well.
Yes.
That when it was really big, it was hard to see it.
Yep. There it is right there. But yeah, that's great concept, Brian. Well executed. Just too much on the right side of the image, but there you go. The title actually makes a nice play on words working with what you see in the image.
So let me just ask, I mean, I appreciate as always, the feedback, but aren't you supposed to not center your subject in the photograph?
That's not always the case. This that's not, it's not quite bullseye, and there's if that was one single building, I would say no, definitely don't center. Those are two buildings that are different in shape and size, and having those centered, two buildings balance each other when they're centered like that. One building would be bullseye, and that would not feel right. So it's not a rule, it's a guideline. And there are times where centered is okay. This one is okay because, like I say, the two buildings are slightly different from each other, and they kind of balance each other either side of the center line. But you're going to see one in a few minutes where bullseye is not good.
Okay.
Okay, that thing dead center in the front foreground, just clone that out and get rid of it, or even you can even just bring the bottom of the frame up in a crop. That thing right there is killing me. Okay. There you go. Thank you. Yeah,
I thought I was going to get hammered on this one because the horizons aren't identical.
No.
Well, it's very hard to do that.
it was visually hard to get past that big thing dead center in the bottom of the frame protruding in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. There you go. Yeah. Ouch. This has a lot of visual impact, Jack.
Yeah.
Nice contrast in colors.
Thank you.
This.
Yeah,
Where
there's
I did some of that. I guess not enough, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
that
blue
one
thing
piece
is
down in the
there.
lower right-hand corner just is out of place with everything else. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
there
that
you
blue
go.
thing is very distracting.
Okay. Yeah, it was lighter than that, and I darkened it, but I didn't want to overdo it. I guess I should have gone just a little more. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Is that an
Appreciate the
Ebor,
comments.
Jack?
I'm sorry.
Was that an Ebor?
No, this was in
No.
Asheville.
That was in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
It was shot through the window of it was a display in a window, and a bunch of these paper lights with stars. And it was shot through the window
Cool shot.
and shot with my my Apple iPhone.
Oh, nice. With using one of the apps.
Average Cam Pro. That was with Galvage Cam Pro.
That's right.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I love this shot.
All right. Follow along with me visually in your mind's eye, people, and imagine that very big, thick top image of the bridge is at the bottom, and then the one in the middle is in the middle, and then the light colored, sharply focused bridge is at the top of the stack of three. Put that great big thick one at the bottom, and then bring it up from darker to lighter to the brightest one, which is at the bottom at the top. Just invert that stack. Can you mentally picture what I'm saying?
Go in the other direction, right?
Hey, Lynn.
Yeah.
Just even though the stuff's going to be upside down, rotate that 90 degrees 2 times so we get a 180-degree rotation on it. Transform and rotate 90 degrees twice. You should be able to right click in the middle of the image and hit transform.
Hit the command key and
Transform is about 2/3 of the way down that context menu when you right click. Transform. Now rotate twice. All right, rotate one more time.
Then the bridge is upside down.
Except for the water's at the top, which is visually disconcerting. But you crop the water out, Lynn. Crop the water out so we can just get the idea of what I was, kind of what I was talking about.
My work always looks better when it's upside down.
Keep going. Keep going.
But Jim, there is one thing. That's really only 2 images. It's the
okay.
The one in focus.
One is a reflection. I got you. Yep, you're right.
The other one is an ICM. So I would have had to work on it to to do as suggested, which I think is a good idea.
And now this were, like I say, darker at the bottom and then leading to lighter at the top. Even if you put like a gradient blend on it, now you kind of get the idea of what I was thinking about, conceptually. I just thought it was heavy at the top and light at the bottom, where we kind of visually like heavier on the bottom and lighter on the top.
That's part of the infrastructure bill that got passed. Build that.
Now they got to make the bridges right side up, huh? Upside down.
So could you submit it upside down?
Oh, sure, you could.
I guess you could.
Call it topsy-turvy world?
Basically, what you're saying, you should have shot it in the other direction, right?
Yeah.
I submitted a bunch of framed prints to an art show many years ago. One time on opening night of the art show, I went and one of the prints was hung upside down on the wall in the gallery. And it wasn't an abstract either.
One too many.
Attention.
They were having some wine while they were hanging the picture.
I see X-rays on television all the time, hung upside down.
Upside down. Yeah, the femur is bending the wrong way.
Right. Patient's heart is up in the brain area.
Hey Jim, you did a good job with this one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is that a bush?
Yeah. The images go together well, and it tells a great story.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried to shoot this probably 50 times now over the last couple of years. Because they only do this once, maybe twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
And of course so I have to be there. And then if they're gonna do it too late, then I don't hang around. So I don't get to do it that often, but I have attempted to do it probably 50 times or more now.
Well, this worked out well. I like
Yeah.
what you did here. It was a good entry for the competition assignment.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on to general
Hey, Jim, where is that picture taken?
Busch Gardens.
gardens. The cheetah section.
Yeah.
Run.
This
That's a
image is
cheetah run.
awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
This has visual impact for miles.
Yep. Yeah, very good, Steve. This is one of Steve's.
This smacks you between the eyeballs with visual impact. Yeah, well done.
And if he didn't have his mouth open, it wouldn't be nearly as good.
I agree with you, Lynn.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you on that.
It's like you have him in a studio, but for a portrait, you had a hairstylist there and everything.
It's a windy day.
They had the
It's one
fan
of
going.
those.
Yeah, the fan going.
Don't stand there with
Looks
a
like a
brush and
glamour.
hairspray.
It looks like a glamour shot.
Yeah. He's had his makeup put on.
Yeah.
Come hither.
Yes.
Did a really good job with his hair too.
Yeah. That's not easy to do.
I know, I've tried.
Yeah.
Wow, ISO 5600. Holy banana brains.
Sherry, you finally figured this out.
That's a great looking infrared exposure.
Yep.
Sure.
Oh, shit.
Yep. Water is a great thing to have in an infrared landscape too. When you can work with water in infrared, especially when it's smooth like that, you can get reflections. That's a great thing. Do one thing for me, Lynn. I just want to see something.
Yeah.
This is just a nitpicky thing, but turn on your crop tool. Bring it in from the right, just past that pine tree that's on the edge of the frame. Bingo, right there. Let's just get that crop and see how you think about that. Now you see there's kind of a flow of that stream into the foreground, and it turns to the right and then travels off into the distance. And that you can follow that tree line off into this. That one pine tree on the right edge was visually breaking that flow for me. Put it back and now you'll see what I mean. See what I mean?
And then it goes over here and goes clunk.
Yeah, I tend to want to follow that off into infinity in the distance, but that tree much closer on the right breaks my visual idea of this going off of this receiving off.
Yeah,
I think it adds depth to have that over there.
然后我这个还有
Are you talking to us, Tom?
See, I think it's
还有2张照片就到我们的照片了啊！我要
We need to mute Tom's microphone. She's talking to somebody else.
See, I think it adds depth with that. To me, like when I'm looking at it, I don't know. I get your point about.
I think there's plenty of depth. It's working all the way from the foreground to the background.
Right here.
It anchors you to the back.
But that's just me talking. Like I said, that was a nitpicky thing. But that's,
Okay. I know. Let's see. If we did this. Yeah, no. I think you lose something when you do that. I tried that actually. I also tried bringing it in from the
I
left
like that,
side a little bit.
That palm branch coming down in the foreground is good. That gives you a sense of foreground, and it also it almost fits like a puzzle piece into the opening of the trees behind
What
it.
about that? I kind of like that.
I like that better.
Yeah, I did that, but
Yeah. The
sometimes
stuff
I
on the
like to.
left was distracting to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on over here.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the reason
Yeah,
why I didn't do
would,
that is because I do a
I
lot
would
of
bring it-
printing.
Stop right there. Yep, back up just a little bit because yeah, that's much better. Yeah, and then you could just take out that little white palm frond sticking in right where Lynn just was waving the cursor around. Yeah, that's good. That's good right there.
What do you think, Sherry?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
did. I
that's a-
tried that when I was doing it. My thing is that a lot of the stuff I do for printing. And some stuff I keep as an aspect ratio when I'm doing, because I've been selling a lot of my stuff and I've been doing cards and different things. And so I have to keep a certain aspect ratio. So when I brought it in, I can't use it for I mean, it's fine for competition,
Yeah.
but it's not fine
Yeah.
for what I'm doing
Yeah.
with my sales. So.
Nobody has comments.
In this instance, there's so much of everything is pretty much within the same tonal value that in respect of tonality, the subject doesn't necessarily separate from the background that well. The depth of field is also so limited that it doesn't help separate it. That stem with all the little sharp fuzzy hairs on it being blurry tends to already be blending that flower that's should be our subject. That's already starting to blend that into the background from a visual perspective.
Now the focus is out here.
At least that the stem running down into focus would help separate that from the background more. It has a very narrow depth of field up there where the petals are, but the whole flower is so prominent within what's framed in this composition that at least that stem should be in focus as well.
And
It helps
it's
separate
at
that from the
F8.
background,
It's at F8. It's at F8, but it's shot at 96 millimeters. So that's again where you were talking about with the longer the lens, the longer the millimeters, the shallower your depth of field is, because
Hey, can you use Fang's microphone again?
Hard to hear, yeah.
the focus is right here.
Yes.
So, and even though you're at F8, because you're using that long lens, that's why this is out of focus.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You could have, I don't know if there's a way to save it. I don't know. Maybe like this, something like that. I don't know. Or
So if she had shot that, Lynn, what are the thingies? What were the lens?
With the 96 millimeter lens that close to that flower, it probably should have been f16 or f22.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna really, Lynn, you're coming back out to the park with me. I had good luck finding birds that day.
Yeah. All right. On to the next one.
I like the lighting on this.
Nice story, nice lighting. Two things I would do with this is right behind the guitar, under the forearm, the little bright spot there. We could take
okay.
that out and use dodging and burning techniques and burn down the ear. The ear is too bright. Take the ear down. The ear jumps out of the side of his head and detracts from looking at his facial expression, because the ear is too bright with respect to his face. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And be careful about cutting off the hands, Fong.
Yeah.
Yeah, this in the Silverton Park, this restaurant, all restaurants and the store closed. Only one did my hair. I just passed away. Then shoot this picture. So only shoot one, so I know get the trouble.
That's because it's a cool picture, but you kind of chopped his finger off there. So
Yeah.
Small
You
thing.
would take a second one, maybe better. I'm nervous, so because nobody close to him, no money, no tip, something. 我手里好了。
This is yours, Diana?
Yeah, that's Diana's.
It is Diana's? Okay, yeah. Fantastic visual impact on this one. That's great. I'm wondering why this wasn't put in the assigned competition. This
You're
is
muted.
this is
Muted, Diana.
really,
It
really
was-
strong image.
It was a double, because it was, I don't know why.
Just because.
This would have been a fantastic entry in the assignment.
Well, she
You know,
had
but,
three.
yeah,
and
but even in general, it's still a fantastic entry. This is that's very well done. I really like your concept and the way you pulled it off technically.
I had a very cooperative model.
She did what you told her to do?
No. I have a question though, Jim, and I promise I won't take long. Okay. Oh, you can't see my cursor. Shoot. Okay. You see where her left hand is? No.
Yeah, her left hand with the pinky finger going up into the eye.
No, other side.
That's the right hand.
That's her right hand.
Okay, whatever. The line, you see the line where the line is at the camera?
Mhm.
You're getting
Yeah.
close. No, down. Yeah, right there. I spent like hours trying to get that stupid thing off. And I masked it. I did everything. And then I realized it was part of the camera. But should I have taken it off?
No, I realized that, like I say, this is a multiple exposure, and that's what's going on. That didn't bother me at all. And the fact that it's a multiple exposure, and these are the interactions that happen in a multiple exposure, and that's not a point that detracted me from what was going on in this image overall.
Okay, thanks.
I kind of like getting rid of that earring.
I like having it in.
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
I like
like
it
the
in too.
earring.
I think the earring over there balances the hand with the painted fingernail on the other side. You can almost draw a line between that fingernail and that earring that takes you right through the center of that camera lens and that flower.
Of course, I was thinking of all that when I shot.
Of course.
That's the cool thing about this kind of stuff is you shoot them and you have no idea, and you have no idea what you're going to get. So it's this is so much fun. That was what this was all about. All right, on to the next one.
Well, that's a nice sharp image.
Yeah. Low
Thank you.
res, but it's a,
Yeah,
yeah.
even in low res,
Yeah.
the quality of that is very obvious, even in the low res file that got presented.
Sherry, was he like pointing up, because it seems like he's in the same plane all the way up here.
Yeah, he's just, I shot it. I mean, that's just the way he was.
Yeah, he was pretty much standing on his head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It was so,
Yeah, I
it was
mean,
so funny when I got this shot
fantastically in
because,
your favor.
it's hard to get the eyes and the body in focus. So I was like, wow.
like I say,
yeah,
his-
he was standing
his-
just like he looks.
his pose worked in your favor. If he had not had his tail raised like that,
Yeah.
this wouldn't have even been a shot you would have put in competition.
Yeah. I mean, it's even hard to get the wings in focus because your depth of field on this situation is so small. So great shot.
What happened with this shot was I was in my backyard and this dragonfly just sat there on the hibiscus plant, right? So then I didn't have my camera out or anything. So I said, well, I'm going to go get my camera. But what are the odds that he's even going to be there? But he just sat there posing for me. So now I have my camera and I'm running with my camera, which just happened to have my macro lens on it. And I'm getting closer and closer, and I kept like shooting him till I could get close enough to take the shot. But
Beautiful.
and he
That's
sat there.
That's great.
Works out. It's so many times we see things that we don't have our camera with them, with us.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing is like, I never thought I could go back in the house, get my camera, get out there, shoot it, and he'd still be there. But
I always try it. I may not
Yeah.
make it, but you never know when you're gonna be lucky like this. Yeah.
yeah, that was, yeah, so.
We win. Your horizon isn't straight.
Yep, I was gonna say there's this
Oh.
this is a fantastic exposure and technical processing And like I say that there were two
Sorry, I
nitpicks
didn't
had
see
with
that
it.
part.
And the two nitpicks I had with it, the horizon was one. Lynn just fixed that. Anybody see the other issue with that?
I got a halo.
Oh gosh, yes, fix that halo. You got a tremendously obvious sharpening halo along the water line, which
Yeah.
is a super easy fix.
Yeah.
You know how to
But the
fix that, right?
worst thing about it is I can see it.
There you
You
go.
should.
That's great, Brian. If
That's one way to get rid of it.
if Brian can see it, you've got an issue.
I processed this at midnight, so I didn't look at it.
Lynn, do
You
you
using a trigger there?
Well, no, I was late afternoon and late at night. I saw the lightning on the backyard. I just set the camera there and let that shoot. So they got quite a few of those. So there's no triggers.
Oh, wow.
So what was your
30
30 seconds.
at
Wow.
F10.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the thing. If you have lightning that's close enough and bright enough, the higher your F number for your aperture that you're shooting with, the sharper and crisper the lightning bolts appear in the sky. As you go to wide apertures, you really soften up the lightning. And this type of lightning really looks good when it's shot at a high aperture and is really crisp and sharp like that. It really makes it look like electricity.
Did you use a timer for that, Luann, or did you just?
I put on the interval time because I just let camera shooting.
Yeah.
I did not stay outside because it was not.
Yeah.
It's after rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you put it on
decide
what?
to
I'm
shoot.
sorry.
You put it on
It's an
interval.
interval.
Intervalometer.
Yeah.
Just set the camera, let it run.
I have one of those, but I don't know how to use it.
There's probably one in your camera, Diana.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in the
Most,
camera.
most modern cameras have it built into the firmware.
Oh, okay.
Which cameras? Which
Several years old.
This is yours, right, Lee?
yes. Yep.
Yeah, it's great visual impact, great contrast with this. I have a question for you on the exposure. When you look down at the, will you zoom in down in the little trails in the water right down there? Right? Yeah. Zoom in there, Lynn. You see, look at the trails in the water. You notice how they don't have a smooth look. They have a repetitive. Yeah, click in there, Lynn. Right there in those trails. Zoom in on that.
Don't zoom anymore. Zoom.
Yeah.
It won't zoom any more than that.
Oh, okay, low res. But do you guys see what I'm talking
There we
about?
go.
Lee, do you see what I'm talking? How it's not, those lines aren't as smooth. There you go, Lynn. See how those lines aren't as smooth. It's like the same object repeated, and it gives it kind of a jaggy, very stuttered look
Yeah.
to something. I'm curious in your technique how that happened. Was this a multiple exposure stack, or was this
No.
a single exposure?
Just a single exposure.
How did that occur where there's repetitiveness as opposed to smooth flow? How did that stuttery look happen?
It must be just whatever was in the water. I don't know. It's, what is it, 5 seconds? Yeah, at F16, that was it. And I had a polarizer on the front just to get a little more time on it.
Yeah, it's a very unusual look, and is, that was my question about how did that basic like stutter look of the objects flowing in the water happen as opposed to a smooth flow.
Yeah,
It looks like rope.
yeah, I took like 10 shots and they're all like that, all of them.
What about
Very
if the
interesting.
camera move?
I've not seen that in a time exposure in water before. I haven't encountered that in any of the times that I've done it, and that really caught my eye and made me wonder, okay, how did that happen? And the answer is, We don't know.
No, the camera didn't move.
Whatever was in the
Everything
water moving around.
else- The camera didn't move because everything else is sharp.
Yeah, everything else is sharp and smooth. And,
That was on a tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me. Yeah, I don't know.
It almost looks like it was taking a multiple exposure.
No, it wasn't though. It was
I
just
know.
one. Yeah. Not even, it wasn't on a bracketed, it was not HDR or anything.
I think it's one of those gifts from the gods of photography.
Yeah, it's one
Right.
of those Fuji issues.
Right.
Robert sat here, so I had to say it.
So, where is this, Nee?
It's in Maine,
Oh, okay.
Blue Hill, Maine.
It's gorgeous.
Near-
Gorgeous.
It's near Bar Harbor.
I want to lead your life, Lee.
Jim? Too much
Yes.
stuff.
Too much. Yeah. Too much. Too much. There you go.
Then darken the leaf. If you know, if you can't get the
Both
leaf out of
sides.
there, or just get rid of the.
Then you have to darken the top leaf.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's just too much going on
Lynn,
here.
Lynn is exactly right on this one.
And there's a glare there on the water. So, you know, this
I
is,
was
this is where
I was
Robert
just-
can get this thing out and use it.
There you go.
The cute frog.
Isn't that
Why
bullseye?
don't you kiss it? See if it becomes a prince.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead, you can kiss him.
I
Darken
was
it.
just trying out bracketing is all I was doing with this
Yeah.
shot.
I mean, it's a cool, I mean, you've got his eye in focus and you know, the parts are in focus. There's just too much going on in the picture. That's all.
No, that's cool.
Cute.
Remember what you asked about earlier, Brian?
Yep.
Yes, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. Oh my God. Thank you, Lynn.
You're down in the center.
You read my mind, Lynn. You're clairvoyant.
Well, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, Jack.
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but I did it on purpose.
Uh-huh, sure.
You
No, I
roll
did.
breaker, you.
I wanted it smack dab in the middle, and I measured it, with a ruler.
You're
And I did
kidding.
it. I did it on purpose to break the rule. Number one, it was a rainy, lonely day out on the beach. Nobody out there. It was stormy, and that one piece of furniture sitting out there, that chair, and it just spoke to me. But I wanted it in the middle, and I swear to you, I took a ruler and I put it smack dab in the middle to make you guys angry.
I'll tell you.
It
I'll tell you
worked,
something,
Jack.
Jack.
But
With your idea of putting it in the middle, I would feel better with it in the middle had you changed position or had you picked up the chair and moved it 6 feet to the right and put the
To the
chair
sun.
dead center under the bright spot in the sky.
right,
Yeah.
Now
right,
you've got, but the issue with this is you've got a dead centered chair, but an off centered bright spot in the sky.
right.
That's where the bullseye in the chair falls down. That's why
Right.
when Lynn does this, now you actually have a diagonal working
Yeah.
through the middle of the frame. And if you want that,
I think some
symmetry,
haze would make
that
this
stick-
more dramatic.
use content aware move. Just go in Photoshop, use content aware move, put it under the bright spot and crop again.
Oh.
Good. I'm going to do that. Thank you very much. That's a good suggestion.
I'm hitting it with some dehaze to make it look even more dramatic
Yeah, yeah.
Love that shot.
because it's a little
Yeah.
flat. I mean, you can
The
take
chair-
it off again,
Chair is too dark now. I got to lighten it up. Yeah,
you
but
could take
yeah.
it off that, but you know, so yeah, it's just it's a little flat for me at least.
Right, right. I hear you. You're right. It is very flat.
Yeah.
It was a hazy day and a stormy, hazy day out there on the beach.
But the problem is the camera just can't see you. The clouds on those hazy days they're gorgeous.
Yeah, Yeah,
And you just gotta get rid of some of the haze, you know?
right,
Look
right.
at that. I mean, it just adds so much drama.
Hey, Lynn,
Yeah.
you want to share, you want to let me share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead. You can come in, I think. Wait, what do I have to do?
All he has to do is share, he'll take it away from you.
Are you seeing it yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's in Photoshop.
Wait a minute.
Content aware move tool.
Ta-da! And yeah, it would be easy in that one. Because it's, yeah, well, you got to match up the water a little better.
And then measure and measure and crop again.
I love it.
Voila.
I'll do it.
Now you've got dead center that works because the reason it didn't work was the bright spot in the sky.
Got it.
You see the
Thanks.
difference?
Good
So is
lesson.
there-
Yeah, no. I hear you.
Is there
What-
a halo then now?
Yeah, I see a halo
Yeah,
around it now.
Yeah, the chair is blurred.
Yeah, that's just because I'm taking a very low resolution image and doing content aware. I just put a rectangle around it instead of actually
Gotcha.
selecting the object.
Yeah, I'll go back to the original
If you
image
go to
and
the
work
high
on it.
res, if you go to the high res and go here and go select and
Yeah.
select, or you also
Mhm.
have there's an object select tool which
Where's that?
where it's
That's in Photoshop, right?
yeah there's
Yeah.
here we go. You've got object selection tool.
Oh,
And
See
what
right
does
here?
that do?
Object selection tool recognizes common objects and will give you a much better path around that.
Yeah, it'll select right around the chair.
Aren't you
Pretty
glad you
close.
taught me about halos?
Yeah, see object selection tool. Let's see if it figures it out any better. Oh yeah, see, look at that.
Oh yeah, because it's wow, that's cool.
It missed a little bit on the bottom, but you can fix that pretty easily.
Yeah, like I say, you could very easily let's say that's quite
What is that called?
quite an easy
Content?
fix. Go ahead. Yep. Add a little more
Object
to the
selection.
bottom. And
It's
then
the object selection tool.
Thank
and then
you.
go to your content aware move. Pull it over.
Crazy.
And then but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It's the idea.
Yeah, you gotta make it bigger so you can see what the selection is making. You have to add and subtract a little bit there. But it makes it's still a lot easier than doing it by hand.
That's cool.
very good. Thank you. That was exciting.
I have to share again. Are you still sharing? Jim, are
Where's
you still
Lauren
sharing or
at?
did you take it off?
I took it off. I took my screen off the screen sharing.
You don't have, all you have to do is share and you'll take
Yeah, I
it
know, I
away
just have to
from
get
the
to it.
person.
I couldn't tell whether it was his screen or my screen.
I like this with all the paths
This
in
is
it.
this is another fantastic infrared. The only question I have is the title after the rain. I look at the image and nothing in this image tells me that it's after the rain. The
Other
title's-
than the fact that the leaves are
rain.
glowing like crazy. The leaves are all wet.
Mhm. Yep. And that there was no detraction on score or anything for that. It's just like, I read the title, I looked at the image and I'm like, rain? What rain? When did it rain?
There's a lot of water underneath that boardwalk, believe me. But yeah, it's just, to me, I've taken this shot before when it hasn't just rained. And even though a couple of those are cypress trees, which are great for infrared, I never got something that they just didn't glow like they are right now. And I think it's the time of the year and the fact that they were wet.
Where's this at?
Is that Lettuce Lake Park?
Lettuce Lake Park.
That's
Yeah,
what I
that's what I
thought.
Oh, is it? I recognize the
I
path.
recognize the boardwalk.
It's been a while since I've been out there. So do you golf,
Okay.
Brian?
What?
I was asking Brian if he golfs.
I used to, I don't anymore.
Oh,
And yeah, except, and I'm going to show you something in a second. That's a poor substitute. What Lynn just did for what you should have done, which is walk right up to the edge of the water, kneel
Right.
down, and fill the whole front of your frame with the water with the reflection. You should have just walked up and crouched down and gotten the water in there.
What-
Here, I'm going to share my screen for a second because I did a little something more than what Lynn just did. Just it's still a poor substitute for had you actually been able to walk up there with a wide angle lens and fill the front of the frame with water. But
There's this, while we're waiting for your screen to come up, there's a story behind this. I parked and I was,
here we go. I don't see it happening yet unless
no.
here.
So I was gonna do a morning.
There we go.
Okay, fine.
I stretched it a little bit to get, when Lynn cropped it, there's a little.
Oh, okay, I see.
But imagine just much more water in the foreground if you crouch down with a wide angle lens as opposed to that grass in the
Yeah, okay.
foreground.
Yeah.
See, what happened, I was doing a morning bike ride and I got there just in time for the spectacular sky with this great light and these great clouds. And I ran over and I took a first shot and I could see the shutter speed was too slow. So I had to set up my tripod. So I grabbed my tripod and the leg fell off. And so I had maybe 10, 15 minutes of this great light. And it took me like 12 minutes to fix my tripod. And so I was just like, I had to get something. So I got what I could get. But I don't know that I could have done what you suggest with the light that I had unless I would have done a gorilla pod or something.
No, you can increase your ISO.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What's the ISO in this one, Lynn?
160.
Oh, heck, yeah.
You had all kinds of ISO.
You had room to spare to go up with your ISO and shoot this handheld. Absolutely, you could have walked over there handheld with a wide angle lens and jacked up your ISO and gotten a beautiful shot.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I will
And
know
with the wide
better
angle
next time.
lens, you wouldn't have even needed to be at f8. You could have jacked up your ISO, dropped your aperture down to 5, 6 or so. With if you had used like a 14 or a 12 millimeter lens and up at that water, that would have been a fantastic shot.
I'll know better next time.
Yes, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn.
Too much tree.
Your
Yeah.
clairvoyance is still in effect.
Too much tree, and the tree is too bright.
Okay.
You can even pull your gradient up right to the edge of the tree and it'll help with that.
Or you do it
The
like
center line of your gradient right up to the edge of the tree.
there. Now his face just comes out. Bam.
Yes. Yeah, you could even pop a spot. Yes, thank you.
Invert.
What did you just do on that?
There
Use
you
a
go.
radial gradient.
There you go.
Inverted it. Okay, see, I use a radial gradient.
Inverted radial gradient.
Yeah, right. And you worked on his face, but did you darken it or I didn't
I
see
lightened it. I lightened
You
it.
lightened it. Okay, cool.
Lightening the face a little bit. Bingo.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. Yay.
See now, because this takes up half the picture, Karen. This log.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
takes too much of it, and you want the picture to be of the raccoon, not the log. So.
Okay. Mhm. Much better. Mhm.
Yep, and that is one of the real points of creating a diptych is to be able to tell a story.
All right.
by having images that are related to each other in the diptych in one fashion or another. And in this case, it's the relationship is storytelling, and it's very well done.
We've actually had that as an assignment in the past, maybe in the future.
So how do you blend, how do you put those two shots in one shot?
In Photoshop.
Photoshop.
Is there like a,
You just didn't like the taste of the live fish and spit it out.
You just expand your canvas and drop another image on it.
oh, duh.
I think you
You
could
need to do it. You need to do it in Photoshop though,
You can do it
Dan.
in Lightroom too.
Yeah.
See? You can actually do it in Lightroom too.
Yeah,
Can you?
Lightroom has assorted layouts. You can.
Where did you
print-
get that?
In the print module.
Oh, okay. In the print module.
I
Yeah, the
never
print
go in
module
there.
has a whole bunch of pre-configured layouts for you.
See?
It's got diptychs.
That's
it's-
really
the print
cool.
module. Look at all this over here.
Wow, that's really cool.
And you could print them, but you could also save them as a
Save it as a JPEG file.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know you could save them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's actually a little easier over here because it does everything automatically for you.
My kind of place.
It's so easy for me to do it in Photoshop. It takes no time at all.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I love the surprised look on
Yeah.
his face.
Bye-bye, fishy.
the guy tried for about 15 minutes to get that fish down his throat, and I was snapping pictures. Must have about 100 of them.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get it down his throat. He bit off more than he could chew. So finally, he monkeyed around so much the fish popped right out of his mouth, and he looked down in the water with this forlorn look. I almost made a triptych on this one to show his sad look.
Is it really too big for him, or?
It was too big. He couldn't get it down his gullet.
Oh, poor thing.
I watched one beat one up to death in Lettuce Lake, where he took the fish and he kept slamming it on the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them do that.
They,
Yeah. Those are the ones that don't like their sushi alive. This looks like ghosts in Tampa U.
Yeah.
I was just playing around. This is, I took a static picture of the hallway, and then I attached the camera to the walker that I use, and I just started pivoting it around. And that was how I
That's
got
cool.
the effect of the lights.
Yeah,
I would
it's not
have
around.
called it something else though, Jim. I would have called it the Ghosts of Tampa U. Or On the Rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that those light fixtures hang by chains kind of visually lends itself to making this work, because you can mentally get the impression of them swinging back and forth and creating these light trails. If those had just been, fixed light fixtures that, that aren't suspended, this wouldn't have worked as well, because you wouldn't have the mental capacity to envision that they could swing through the image and produce those arcs.
Jim's going to start a whole new trend with using walkers as part of your photo equipment.
Absolutely.
You do a YouTube class.
Yeah, you have a YouTube channel, Jim.
Yeah.
It becomes senior photography, right?
Walker, a Tampa photographer.
You've done that before too, Jim.
I like that.
Didn't you do that at the fair?
I like that, Jim.
Yeah, he did it at Lowry Park at Christmas time. All right, next. We're almost done. This is a beautiful shot, Caesar, except for all this stuff underneath here. Get rid of all that.
There you go.
Too distracting.
I had thought about
Thank you,
cropping all that out, but I decided to leave it in.
Yeah, but we know we have to deal with sticks because it's a nest, but we don't want to see man-made stuff if we can avoid it. And I would just darken all this up.
And what I agree with Lynn is the fact that the subject and the story of this image is bird behavior and what the birds are doing, as a behavior in the image. And so the environmental part of that they're in a man-made nest box doesn't necessarily play into the story of,
Right.
of the behavior of the birds.
But did it detract significantly from it?
To me, it does, because I'm looking, anything man-made in nature, your eye goes to it, just like you would go to a person or writing. So it just makes you see it, because all I see is this.
So
Right
from
here.
that perspective, then we never should show a bird feeder with a bird then.
Yeah, technically, yeah. I hate seeing bird feeders with birds. That's why I go to a lot of, I mean, I do have pictures with birds, because if I've got a bird that is unusual and the only place I can get it on the feet is on the feeder, I'm going to take the picture, but I'm going to try waiting for it to go someplace else. I get my feeder, I have little sticks that they can land on so that the background has nothing to do with the feeder. They go to the stick, then they go to the feeder, then they go back to the stick, then they go to the feeder. So I don't, I'm taking shots on the stick rather than on the feeder. So, and somebody like Moose, who we had last month, that's what he does as well. He's got feeders by his porch, but he has all these little branches that they can go stand on, and he gets the pictures of the birds while they're standing on the branch rather than on the feeder.
Duly noted. I'll crop it out next time.
Yeah, this is beautiful, because it's hard to get, you've got two birds in different planes and they're so in focus. I mean, Mama's eye isn't focused, but that's okay, because we're going to look at these two guys and their feathers are gorgeous. Yeah, this is beautiful shot without, just get rid of the nest box and you're good.
Yes, it is.
And we talked about this one a lot already.
I'm going to talk more. I'm going to talk more about it.
Okay.
It looks like you've kind of been getting into aviation photography a little bit, Caesar.
Well, that I have a rather diverse interest in photography, and so it includes bird photography, aviation photography whenever it's available.
Right.
I'll do sports even when that's available.
Yeah, this is nice getting these information, and since I see you're doing some stuff with aviation photography, are you aware of what the real full-time professional aviation photographers do with propellers?
Yes, and I was very careful not to freeze. I've made mistakes in the past.
And I'm not just talking about freezing. I'm talking about 360-degree rotation.
Well,
I'm going to share my screen again, Lynn.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Hey, and Caesar, did you get a chance? You should look at Moose Peterson's aviation side as well. He's a really great aviation photographer as well as wildlife.
All right, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. This is what I'm talking about 360-degree rotation. This is what the full-time professional aviation photographers are, try to do whenever possible with the propellers. You see what I'm talking about?
Now that is because that's a challenge, because my shutter
It is a challenge.
My shutter speed was 1/320th of a second,
which is too fast. That's the thing. The aviation photographers will tell you to do this, that the trick is slow down your shutter speed. You have to keep slowing it down. There's some of them, I know Moose Peterson talked about this once, about actually knowing the different aircraft and knowing the RPMs that the engine runs at, and actually doing the math to calculate the shutter speed required to get a 360-degree rotation based on the RPM of the aircraft you're photographing.
You know how hard that is for a guy who occasionally shoots an air show?
How do you slow down your shutter speed and not get the flight? I mean, how do you get a sharp image of the plane?
It's called panning, Brian. It's called panning.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's learning how to pan your camera with the aircraft while having a slow shutter speed.
So, but is it possible from the ground, Jim? Because all these images look like they were shot from air to air.
Well, that's another good point, Lynn.
Yeah.
think you're right.
But yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that you can still slow your
Oh,
shutter.
okay.
It's actually much harder to do up close than farther away, because it's much easier to pan with the to pan from further away, than up close,
Right.
unless you happen to be in another aircraft with matched speed to the aircraft you're photographing. But that's and I didn't ding you on your score. I wanted to point this out because I see that you're getting into it. And yes, you're right. You never freeze the propeller, and the pros strive to do this.
Well,
Just to
I
say that,
appreciate your
that's something to think about as you progress. If you do more aviation photography,
Right.
that's kind of the holy grail in shooting a prop driven aircraft.
Right.
So
I greatly appreciate that.
How do you pan? Whoa, go back a second. How do you pan a plane?
You hold the camera in your hand and you.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
as the plane is the same way you would pan for a
Bird in
car.
flight.
In fact,
It's
I
the
know
same
when
way
you're
for an
shooting those
airplane.
aircraft from the ground, you're already panning anyway.
Yep.
You're not waiting for them to enter your frame and then snapping a picture. I know you're panning.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I got it.
Hey, folks, if you're flying and getting an aerial shot, you have your camera plane flying at the same speed as the subject plane. Props basically turn between 2,500 and 3,000 RPM. So you figure something in there about slow your speed down, but around a 30th of a second is going to give you a full turn.
Right.
I've got a pan.
With the aircraft, though.
Yeah, he's got a pan. You can take that out with your life preserver.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw it out the door.
Just stand out in front of your home dressed like that. And put all your camera gear on too.
Yeah.
Hey, Leslie. Didn't see
Hi,
you yet.
Lynn. Hello. I'm up here with my photography husband.
Yeah, no, he's my photography husband.
We can be Mormons.
You guys from Utah?
Gets around.
You guys from Utah?
Can be.
We are.
When we need to be, we are.
Yep. Well, guys, we had a good night tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Indeed.
Actually got
Yes,
done
it
at around
was.
9 o'clock.
Yeah.
These guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
weekend. Bye, everybody.
Everybody.
I'll see you
Bye,
guys
guys. Have a
next
good
week,
one.
live on tape, as they say.